people have heard me speak. I always say 80% of this is the work we do on ourselves. 20% is how it works and actually doing it. But the work we do on ourselves is key for the rest to come into reality. Anyways, so I see we got Alison here. We got 90 people on the call, which is wonderful. I'm not clever enough like Chris to figure out how to make it to automatically go get onto YouTube when the room's filled up. Maybe I'll ask him next week when he's a bit more relaxed after flying back from Dubai. But I'm going to let you take it away, Tanja, because I see Alison here, but she's disappeared on my screen again.
No, I've been here all along.
Okay, cool. Oh, there you are again. Okay, you jump back to the top. I guess it takes you away to D instead of A when your microphone's off. Anyways, Tanja, the floor is yours. I'll butt in every so often. I'm using the word but.
Thank you. So welcome everybody. It's an incredible show, 94 participants, and that is wonderful. Thank you for your interest. So what our intention for this evening is to chat, actually just chat to Dr. Ali and to George and ask some questions so we can get to know them, get to understand how they think around their LifeWave businesses, what it is that their plans for their personal journey with the business is, how they are going about the creation of these groups that they've got. So we know that they've got the health professionals group, the animals professionals group. Dr. Ali, thank you for that. On the spectrum, so those are caregivers, teachers, parents that are dealing with children on the spectrum and how LifeWave can be used there. So it's very much about educating people in the various different contexts where LifeWave can be successfully used, and so that we can start forming communities where we can learn and share together. So I'm going to do a bit of a formal introduction just so that we have this information on the recording. So George Kedourie is a lifelong entrepreneur, originally from London and now based in Mallorca. His career has spanned a wide range of industries from contemporary art and antiques to import, export, and online ventures. In 2022, after hearing David Schmidt, our CEO and inventor of LifeWave, speak, George joined LifeWave on his birthday, October the 6th. Just 14 months later, he achieved the top rank of Senior Presidential Director. And in 2023, his team recorded the highest number of rank advancements in Europe. George is passionate about helping others succeed with LifeWave, united by his vision of bringing X39 and LifeWave technology into 1 billion homes. He's committed to making the path clear and achievable for those ready to build. Wow. George, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then our very special Dr. Ali. I feel like I know you, Dr. Ali, and I don't yet, so apologies. Feeling very, very happy to have you here. So as we know, Dr. Ali is a highly experienced GP with special expertise in women's hormonal health, menopause, and functional medicine. She currently serves as the head of women's health at Dr. Finley's private practice. A former NHS GP, Dr. Grimston, holds postgraduate qualification in obstetrics, gynecology, and reproductive health. She's an associate of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and has trained in applied functional medicine in clinical practice through the Institute for Functional Medicine. She offers an evidence-informed whole person approach to perimenopause and menopause, combining medical expertise with a comprehensive understanding of hormonal and metabolic health. So very, very honored to have you here today.
Thank you, Tanja. And the room is full at capacity. I've got brand partners trying to get in. It's not being streamed anywhere else at the moment, is it? They'll just have to wait for the replay.
Yes, I'm not clever enough to figure out how to
It is complicated.
Yeah.
So anybody that doesn't want to be here tonight, you're welcome to leave.
Leave space for somebody else. Can I just say, George, you look fantastic. Your 28-day detox has done you a ton of good. How are you
Thank you.
feeling?
Great, except I've had a cold the last couple of days, or shivers rather
Oh
than
dear.
cold. But anyways, it's a typical springtime thing. We had my daughter's 33rd birthday party outdoors on Easter Monday, so maybe that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So may I start with the first question? And if there's anybody that wants to ask questions, put them in the chat and then I'll see whether I can weave them into my questions. You're most welcome. So Dr. Ali, for you first, how is your LifeWave business going?
My LifeWave business going is going from strength to strength. It has ebbs and flows, as I'm sure you've all experienced. The biggest impact on my LifeWave business has been the WhatsApp group that George and I created for healthcare professionals, because I created it's now restricted, but I created it with the aim of bringing in all of the doctors and healthcare practitioners who I was talking to about the business before they became brand partners. So the point of this and the neurodiverse parents and the professional equestrian and farmers groups are that they are for not just for brand partners. They are for people to have higher level conversations specific to a niche. And that healthcare practitioners group has had the biggest impact on my business, leading to me getting to Morocco last November on the incentive trip. I haven't maintained the momentum as much as I would like to, because I am juggling and I should just focus on LifeWave. I know that, George. But having a group where that is, I mean, the thing is, I recommend to my brand partners that they, and this is the opposite of George. George is going to tell you, don't have a niche, talk to everybody. Yes, I agree, talk to everybody, but you can develop more credibility within a niche where you have a circle of influence. Now, I have a circle of influence within functional medicine doctors. I have been creating WhatsApp groups as I've been going through the 8-module program. For each module, I've created a WhatsApp group of functional medicine doctors and nutritional therapists who are going through the exam with me. And because I created that group, I've shown myself as somebody who creates communities, who supports people through thick and thin. And from there, I can then direct message them and say, look, I've got this group, we might be interested in it. Have you heard about these phototherapy patches? And it's about building that credibility. So that's really how my business has grown, because healthcare practitioners, functional medicine doctors who are interested in the business and the products, a lot of it is people who want to try the products for themselves, or as we all do, you hear about the patches and you're thinking, oh, my mother, my aunt, my sister would do with these.
And let me just add this. So I was at an event, not a LifeWave event, but I put myself about and get myself to events, meeting people. And in this particular event in the USA, there were a lot of doctors asking me questions. And I said to them, you know what? I don't even understand the question. Never mind giving you an answer. And I got back to home, to Spain. And I said to Ali, I was thinking of making a group just with medical doctors and health professionals so they can answer the questions that I couldn't answer. And she said, yep. She was thinking the same. So that's how that was born. And it's been very, very interesting from my point of view. I don't know if Ali would agree, but I discovered that some of the health professionals need even more guidance than regular humans. Sorry, forgive me. That's maybe a bit forward. But the other side...
we are regular humans, in other words.
The other part of it is, how come Alison is here? Not because I made a list. I'm not very good at making lists, or
not because I'm in his niche either.
I can make a list, but I'll never get beyond about 6 people on that list because I'll then get distracted. But I am very good at paying attention to what my mind tells me. And one morning I woke up thinking, Alison, I better tell her about this. And I'd met Alison maybe 12, maybe 14 years ago at an event in the UK, and we become friends, but we didn't really know each other. We were friends in the digital distance, and every couple of years on Facebook, hey, how are you? How are you? You well? Something. And then, so you never know. Pay attention to your mind when you're growing your LifeWave business. And I'll just add one more thing before I go silent again. Look, we have two products here with LifeWave. We've got the patches and everything else that's coming from David, the technologies that are coming. That's on one side, and on the other side, we've got the compensation plan. It's another product of LifeWave, but it is really, do understand it is one of LifeWave's products, and that's very, very key, because we help people. Some people talk about abundance. I don't. I talk about helping people leave behind financial anxieties, get their lives back in their own hands, and then the next stage, build generational wealth. And I'm going to be quiet now. The cat is hissing.
We can't hear him.
It's like, where's my dinner?
Well, I've got a dog here under the table chewing a bone, and a tendon bone, and I've got a very sensitive microphone that I bought for podcasting. So do let me know if you hear this ridiculous background noise.
I don't hear it at all.
Good.
So then, George, so much of what we learn through listening to Eric Worre and the various different network marketing mentors speak about making a list, and there's certain ways they just like duplicate the system. Are you specifically saying that duplicate the system is duplicating the system works for you? What are you actually saying?
No, look, we've all got our own styles. Work and develop your style. I talk to people every day. Whether I'm talking on the phone, or whether I'm in a bus or a train or an airplane, I talk to people. So my list is growing constantly, but the actual sitting down at the beginning and making a list of 100 people, I actually never did that, because by the time I got to 12, I was already talking to 6. And when I was talking to 6, I was busy. So then I never got to the end of that list. But I don't forget, I'm constantly poking, scratching, teasing.
Yeah. Well, what I've experienced this myself is that I've got 3,000 names in my contact telephone list on my phone. 3,000 people. I haven't even scratched the surface of them because I'm present. And when I'm so I know the list is there. So I'm not panicking that there aren't enough people to talk to. But every single day, there are people right in my space that I can speak to. And so they will trump those on the list.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, we have kind of limited time and space, but so long as you do this every day, there's a coach called John Maxwell, and I'd heard of him, but I'd never seen him speak, so I knew nothing except in Orlando at the first annual convention I attended, which was Orlando. He came and spoke, and he was probably 78, 80 years old, very sleek, a little nice size, and he put himself sideways, and he says, look, he says, I've got to cut down a very big tree, but look at me. I can't cut down trees. He says, I mean, look at me. Then he says, but I've got a very sharp axe. And what I can do is I can go with that axe every day and hit the tree 5 times. I obviously can't do it all day, but I can do it every day. And the people said to him, well, every day? Yep, every day. Every day? You mean every day? Yep, every day. But I always go to the same tree. I don't go to another tree and another tree and another tree. So that's his message, is do this every day, and the result is really inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Ali, do you work with a list?
My list is my people social media. So the people I'm connected with on social media, that's my 4,500 list on Facebook. People in my phone, that's my 9,000 people on my phone. So I don't make a separate list, but I do use the LifeWave In Touch app, which is very, very helpful for recording when you've messaged somebody and for setting an alarm to follow up with somebody. I don't use it consistently enough, but it is brilliant, and it connects directly with your contacts and with their social media accounts. It's an excellent way of keeping tabs with who you're following up with, because that is one of the issues with this business, that is very easy to lose touch with who you were following up with and then miss a trick. And before you know it, you go to an event in London and lo and behold, there are 10 people that you started talking to, but they're signed up under somebody else.
That happened to you?
Just one or two.
Oh dear.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And a nutritional therapist who, so Tina Pearce is another long COVID doctor. She was invited to the Haywards Heath event I was speaking at, by somebody else. She joined under somebody else. And then the nutritional therapist that I was talking to at our clinic, and I hadn't mentioned LifeWave yet, I just started gently getting to know them. Tina Pearce signed her up.
Well, this
happens.
Yes, it is actually a problem. I signed up that way as I was introduced by Jenny, but Janine told me more about it, and I didn't know anything about network marketing, so I had no idea what the impact would be. I just thought, okay, well, it's the same company, you know. So when we're a bit ignorant about network marketing, unfortunately, that can happen.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested to know by the people that are here this evening, who uses the In Touch app? Can you just say, yes, I do, no, I don't, in the chat maybe? Because I started using it, but I certainly don't use it to its full capacity. Do you use it?
I don't. I'm not that organized.
All right, I'm going to get organized.
I'm no good with yeah, I'm not that organized. I'm good at talking.
So we guess, yes, I do. I started to, yes, I do. No, no, no. Yes, sometimes, yes, but not to full capacity. I've only just discovered it now. No, I did, but I stopped. I should again. No, yes, I do. Okay. Then we have a question here, specifically, and I know the answer, George, but I'm gonna give it to you. How do you empower people who have a poverty mindset to see LifeWave positively and see the possibilities of financial freedom? George's favorite question.
Yeah, I guess. Look, I think some people are married to their situation. So sometimes there's nothing you can say or do. That's one of my answers. Either you can inspire them a little bit and see if a step is made forward, but to expect or a big jump or a big leap is pretty hard. I tend to walk away personally because I only want to work with, one puts a lot of energy into people, one pours a lot of energy into people, but one doesn't wish to pour energy into people where it's going nowhere. I think we've all done that. I've certainly done it. So I'm always looking to see, or as Javi says, my old partner Naomi, when she was alive, she would say, actions speak louder than words. Javi always says, watch the feet, don't listen to the mouth. So I'm always looking to see people's actions. Actions will tell you how to move forward or not, but don't go chasing people into nothing. I just watched today a talk I gave in Johannesburg in last August, and one of the things Chris and I had been speaking about the day before, or Chris rather brought it up. He said often we put so much energy into our weakest people instead of into our strongest people. It's a good idea to put your energy into your strongest people, not into your weakest people. Obviously, we want to help everybody, but if people are stuck in their situation and don't make any sort of, there's no sign that they're coming out of it that you can hold on to and help to lead them somewhere, then it's very, very hard. I think that's my answer to that.
In other words, don't waste your breath. And I learned from George here. He sends a message out to someone. And he doesn't do like I do, send another message and another message and another message and another message. And here's a link to my my last recording. And here's a link to thisisit.info.com. And this is a link to thisisit.team.com. And this you'd find really interesting. And here's a really good testimonial. George sends one message out. And if they reply, he'll send another message out. And if they reply, he'll send another message out. That's the way to do it. You don't sound desperate then.
It's all about posture, but I did with Chris. Yeah, I did differently, because with Chris, I said to Javi, "There's this guy in South Africa, and he's going to do this with me. He doesn't know yet that he's going to do it with me, but he's going to do it with me." And I sent him a message every 3 days, every 4 days, over 6 weeks. I sent him 21 messages, and I was still I was still very clear he was going to do this with me, but you never know with somebody where you're going to get the echo from them. So it was only till I sent him a 6-minute voice note talking about Javi and Olga's autistic son, and my buddy Julian, was an Olympic skeet shooter with tinnitus. When I told him about Javi and Olga's son with autism and my buddy with tinnitus, he said to himself, "Wait a minute, George doesn't know my nephew's got tinnitus. He doesn't know my partner's got, he doesn't know my nephew's got autism. He doesn't know my partner's got tinnitus. We're going to try." I couldn't know that was going to create the echo with him, but I just knew two things. I knew he was going to do this with me, but I also knew that I couldn't send him more information that I was sending him. Over 6 weeks, 21 messages, sort of every 2, 3, 4 days. With Alison, when I finally actually got on a call with her, that took a while. This is, again, it's posture. I said, "Alison, I'd love to tell you about something," because I woke up thinking, she goes, thumbs up. And maybe another message. Then it was just before Christmas. "Alison, I'm away for Christmas, and you're probably going to be busy at Christmas. How about we talk when I come back?" She thumbs up. Finally, when we did towards the end of January, when I got back around the 10th of January, I messaged her. I think it was probably the 25th. But after I'd spoken to her, I sent her every day 3 testimonials, sometimes video, sometimes audio, sometimes every day. And she said, "Well, great follow-up," because my internal thermostat told me that I could. So obviously, at the beginning of when you're doing something like network marketing, at the beginning, you're very, I've got to tell everybody about this and your friends and family, and they'll think you're crazy. And then you develop more and more posture as time goes by. Look, we have something so valuable to share with the world. If they don't want to hear it, it's their problem, not mine. It may be my problem because I'm not very good at sharing it. But it's my posture really is, it's their problem, not mine. You can join me with this if you care to. You can join me using the product if you care to. Some high-end Madrid friends of mine were at a lunch and they say, "So you're trying to sell us something?" I said, "No, I ain't selling you anything. If you decide to buy, you're going to buy it from LifeWave. I'm sharing something with you that you can choose to take advantage of if you care to. If not, we're friends like always."
Yeah.
And that's my posture and my attitude. I don't know if that
You
makes
asked
sense.
Dr. Ali just to comment in on that for a second. Dr. Ali, what do you understand? Like I've heard George talk about this quite a bit, but in your experience, what does it mean when he talks about posture? What do you understand about that?
Posture is about your energy and your confidence and your self-confidence. It partly you have to build confidence in 5 pillars: in the product, in the network marketing business itself as an industry, in the company, in the founder, and in yourself. And very often the last thing is the confidence in yourself. And my posture has changed with a recent change in my circumstances, from struggling with my own menopause business to joining with another clinic where I'm head of women's health. And it feels like a step up, and I'm stepping into a sort of CEO energy. And that's the sort of thing we're talking about with posture. I was always confused in my last network marketing company when my sponsor said, "You need posture." I didn't thought, what? So I've got to sit up straight a bit, And sitting up straight is a part of it, because I'm working with a business coach who teaches more high-end branding, and yes, posture is part of it, and but it's a lot more than that. It's about deciding who you're going to work with, and well, with my first network marketing business, very often what I would do was spot people who needed it, either the business or the product needed it. And then they needed me to hold them up the whole time. We cannot motivate other people. We have to work with self-motivating people and help them to keep themselves self-motivated. We can't hold people up, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we think that we can, and we think that we should. And I remember being told you don't want to carry the rucksack that's heavy. You know, you want to work with people who can carry their own rucksack. You don't want to carry people's rucksack for them. So it's about changing your attitude. So you're not, and one of the things with this is a business, this is your business. And this is not a cheap supermarket product from the garage at the corner. This is not that sort of thing. So stop trying to talk to those people about it. Accept that you're in a business that's a high-end product, and start raising the game for who you're talking to about the products and even the business, because business people may have been damaged by COVID, just as George and Chris were, and they are looking for another opportunity. You want people who are self-motivating. One of my network marketing mentors always said her best group were the real estate professionals, not in the UK because they work in a different way. They're employees here, but the type of people who have a business that depends on commission, they understand motivation. They understand self-motivation and business in a way that other people don't. I'm not saying don't talk to employees, but you've got to talk to employees that are open to changing their mindset from an employee mindset to a manager mindset, because they are stepping into being the CEO of their own business. And that's a very different energy. Instead of, you know, sometimes people talk about sack your own boss when they're promoting a network marketing business. That's been shown that is now not a good idea to say. You're not allowed to say that. But you're not sacking your boss. You're changing your boss to somebody who is the worst boss possible, who drives you into the ground if you're going to make a success of this. You do need to work the business. It's network marketing, not net play marketing, not net faff around marketing.
I would add, though, there are, you talked about not carrying other people, 100% agree. But there are days with the people that you work with kind of intimately where you do have to help them, because we all have days, good days, bad days, and really not very good days. You know, yeah. So that's in the nature of working closely with others in your team. So I would say this, you know, everybody who reaches out to me, who I develop a working relationship with, whether they're in my first line, second line, third line, or way down, they will always find that I respond very, very quickly. But I don't do that to the ones who don't reach out to me. And what Alison said about motivating, very hard to motivate people. It's very hard work. I'm all about inspiring people. And inspiring can be done in many different ways. It can be 5 words at the right point. It can be a little bit of a kick. You know, those of you who've heard me before, you may have heard me say, you know, be kind, help everybody, but sometimes give a kick. And a kick can be, you know, gentle. It can be a little bit of my dry humor, but sometimes it's necessary. Anyway, do continue.
Yeah. I think also it's the idea of working with a willing. Work with a willing. That has been such a lesson to me, and it really works. It's like suddenly you are flying. It's like the heaviness of the task at hand. You just drop it, right? And there are so many willing people. So why are we trying to work with the ones that don't want to work? It doesn't make sense. We're not very clever people, us humans, I must say. But we have a question here. So when you share LifeWave with people around you and how it could help them, what basics do you focus on that you don't give too much information or make false promises? So what information do you share? Ali.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask George first. Goodness.
I'm glad she asked you.
So it depends on the person. You don't do a blanket thing for everybody. I love the thisisit.info.com website, but George has a very good point in that it overwhelms a lot of people. He does not share that first off. He will share a testimonial and a couple of videos, and that's the way to do it. So, but you've got to be asking questions. You've got to find out how they are. So if you're reconnecting with somebody on social media or somebody in your address book that you haven't spoken to for 6 months, don't just launch straight in with, I've got something that would be interesting to you, because you don't know that it would. Start by saying, how are you? How's the family? Back to form, you know, that classic family, occupation, relaxation, and either money or motivation, depending on who taught you the form.
Listen.
Yeah, we've got one mouth and two ears, so you need to listen for twice as long as you are speaking. Don't get into the verbal diarrhea. We are in this business because we're passionate about this business. We're passionate about the science and technology. We're excited about the changes that people are experiencing in their lives. But verbal diarrhea isn't what works. And actually, Freeman did a really excellent training on one Thursday evening, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, it must be 3 or 4 weeks ago, because it was before the last Haywards Heath talk, because I mentioned it then. And he just says to people, I've discovered an amazing new technology that's impacting lives. Would you like to find out more? That's all he says. And then he brings them to a Zoom. And he's being really successful because he's not giving too much information. It's important not to do what I always used to tend to do and give a haircut over the telephone. It doesn't work.
Thank you. And George?
So repeat the question, please. Sorry.
So what information do you give so that you don't overwhelm?
Okay, so everybody's different. Yeah. And so it's a question of listening to what people are saying and also to what they're not saying. And the way I describe it, it's like we have a quiver with a lot of different arrows. And I don't use the same arrow every single time. So many of you have heard of this, but my first moment of getting Chris's attention over a Zoom, I said to him, "You look like shit." Maybe not the best thing to say to people to get them to join you in your business, but that was what worked then. I look at it a bit like karate. I don't think about it very much anymore. It just kind of happens naturally. The other day, a guy said to me, can we meet? I'd like to talk. And I had no idea what he was going to say, and I had no idea what I was going to say to him. But before he sat down, just came out of my mouth, "Why haven't you started?" If it's somebody who I've met at a social event, it's listening for the echo. A lady sitting next to me, she's not here on this call, I don't believe. Alicia, no. She's Spanish or Argentinian, but lives in Madrid. And we met just over a year ago at one of those events where there's lots of round tables at a lunch. And she's sitting next to me, didn't know her at all. She says, "What do you do?" And I told her, and she goes, "That's very interesting. My pension doesn't get me to the end of the month." You already told me everything I needed to know when she said that sentence. My pension doesn't get to me, even though she was super skeptic. She was super skeptic, but she said, "You know what? I'll try. I've been looking for something that I could sell to what she calls silver surfers, because she's always been in business." She had a super result with the patches herself. Now she's determined that within a year she's going to have 10,000 a month. And she's doing it. But you never know who you're going to meet today, tomorrow, the next day, and where the echo is going to be. There's a lot of people who are not well. And this was a bit of a surprise to me. One of my cousins, she had muscular dystrophy. And after about 10 months, I woke up and I thought of her. I should probably tell her. So I told her, and she's like, first I called her and asked how she was, and she said, "Yeah, it's very difficult. I'm spending 5,000 a month looking after myself," and so on and so forth. And I said, I feel I need to tell you about these patches. And I sent her about the technology. I sent her testimonials about results with muscular dystrophy. Didn't hear anything from her. And after 2 weeks, I called her and she said, "Well, I'm not sure if it's going to work. Wait a minute, you're spending 5,000 a month and you're not willing to try something for $100 a month? Okay, you're married to your situation." That was a bit of a hard lesson to me. A lot of people are married to their situation. So you just have to say, leave them to heaven. One of my very oldest friends, not my oldest friends, but we've been friends for like 45, 50 years. She had a mountain climbing accident. She had to be on her back 4 hours a day doing exercise on her back just to be able to survive till the next day. And I told her right at the beginning about the patches. No, I'm busy, Christmas, blah, blah, blah. Then after Christmas in 2023, January, February, I said again about the patches, and she answered me, and I gave her a rather hard answer. And she said, "That's very arrogant." And I said, "Yeah, but I can be. I've seen the results." Some months later, I sent her a sleeve of patches as a present. "Please stick these patches on yourself." It took her 1 year and 3 months with those patches in her house before she stuck them on herself. She's a friend. Now she loves the patches, but
absolutely. What can you do, right?
Yeah.
So back to your question, you never know who you're going to meet today. You never know who you're going to meet tomorrow. If you keep it in your mind about every day and just tell people, and some will, some won't. So what next? Some will, some won't. So what next? And
so then, just George, you were saying you listen to what they say, but you also listen to what they don't say.
Yes, because
how do you listen to what somebody isn't saying? How does that work?
I'm going to illustrate this by the following. So I'm in Johannesburg, I'm in Lisbon, I'm in Madrid, I'm in Barcelona at events between 150 and 500 people in the event, and I'm in an event in London. In all those other places and in London, I say, who here has got financial anxieties? In Spain, 80% of the room put their hand up. In Johannesburg, 80% of the room put their hand up. In Lisbon, 80% of the room put their hand up. In England, 10% of the room put their hand up. I don't believe that.
Stiff upper lip.
You got it.
Don't show your vulnerability.
Yes. So
10% that put their hand up were South Africans.
80%, yeah. So then I mean, I can tell you the rest of it, but there was a perfect example of people, of me listening to people what they're not saying, they don't want to admit. So then, and I'll say it another way. This is a very English thing, but I have a friend, he's probably my oldest English friend. He had a divorce. His wife, one day, they didn't actually have the divorce, and she just left one day, and then she was gone. And he was completely broken. And most friends, I could tell them, talk directly, but with him, I couldn't. I had to talk sideways and tell him stories about other people to give him the message that I was trying to give him, because it was far too delicate to be that direct with him about his emotions.
Yeah.
So with some people, it's far too delicate to be that direct and say, hey, pay attention to this, because this is amazing. And if you don't pay attention, you're missing out. And on top of it, you're stupid. You can't say that to people. But so you have to be more delicate. I don't know if that kind of answers the question.
We have another question, and for both Dr. Ali and George, of course. Do you give samples out to people who are warming to the patches?
Who would you like to answer first?
The lady in the room, please.
So I calculated how much each patch is costing me, including the VAT and the Brexit fee. So don't forget to include that, okay? And I will sell people 5 patches. I will stick 1 patch on people, but I won't give 5 patches away. get stung with that at the beginning. I gave loads out right at the beginning, and they didn't understand its value because they weren't paying for it.
How long did it take you to learn that?
Couple of months.
And you, George?
Okay, it's a good question. The first, I have a buddy. I gave him 10 patches, and the next day he calls me. Well, maybe I called him. I said, "Did you put it on?" He said, "My wife put them all in the washing machine in my jeans." I go, "Okay." So that was that. Then another guy came by here. He was a guy doing building. He had his arm in a sling, and I gave him 7 days of LifeWave and 7 days of X39. Didn't hear from him for 2 weeks, and I called him and I said, "Hey, what about the patches?" He said, "Oh, I forgot to put them on." So I then learned you've got to stick them on people.
Yeah.
But the answer to that question is I don't give them away gratis. If I do give them away, I will never sell patches. I will never sell patches. I sold everything from total rubbish to a hotel, from contemporary art events. I share about this story. I don't sell patches. LifeWave sells patches. I don't. So if I do give away patches these days, and it's quite rare, it's because I have something in return, not money, but a commitment. So, I'll give away 3 days of patches, but I'll have a commitment, and that we're going to have to talk every day. But it doesn't happen very often because what we have is so valuable. You can't go just wasting it. No, I don't. Is she saying? Am I saying you sell the patches? No, I don't. I don't sell the opportunity. That's the question. Look, we have something here that you can take advantage of if you care to. An incredible opportunity, an incredible product, but I'm not going to sell you on either of them. I can tell you about them, and you're going to have to decide whether you want to know more. If you want to know more, then I can work with you to help you to be successful with it. But you know what? It's your choice. Everybody, the world is full of people. You're looking for the one who's going to say yes, not the one you've got to work hard with. I mean, I did have to work hard with Chris to get his attention, but basically, I look at it like this, and I know this might sound a bit, funny, but it's like running 50 dating games simultaneously. You're having a date with a girl, and maybe she's going to connect with you, maybe she isn't. Maybe she's going to respond, maybe she isn't. She loves me not. That's what we played as kids. But so it's like having 50 dates simultaneously. And if you have 50 dates simultaneously, 1, 2, or 3 of them will be actually working out at that time.
Yeah.
Know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So maybe if we can just switch a little, because we are heading to, we've got 10 more minutes. Oh, how long do we still have? What is the time now? 15 more minutes before we close off. So if I may get a little bit personal, Dr. Ali, can you tell us about your life? What does your day look like? And how do you integrate LifeWave into your family and your extended family, on a personal, not as a business, but on a personal level?
Okay, well, as a health advocate, when I get up, I first lie in bed appreciating the bed, the duvet, the dogs that are sitting on my lap, all that sort of stuff. So I do some appreciation rather than springing out of bed. And then I go and let the dogs out, look at the sky, because seeing sunlight as soon as you can will turn on your cortisol for the day and turn off your melatonin, replenishing it for the evening. Then I will go up and I will do what I need to do in the bathroom while I am answering all the messages in WhatsApp. And I support the 333 groups as well as my own in there. So I'll look at those, read them, respond to any that need responding to. And then I will do go outside with the dog, stretch, a little sprint, 3 to 4 minutes of yoga, another little sprint, a little bit of a walk. It only comes to about 15 minutes, but it means I've done some exercise before I sit in front of the computer. Then walk back, feed the dogs. Then I go up and have my shower, and straight after my shower, I put X39 here, X49 below my tummy button, and SP6 on my left leg, either above the ankle or below the knee. And then I will take the 3 patches from yesterday that I've stuck to the cistern, so I've stuck it to porcelain, and stick it on one of the 4 dogs. Okay, so then my dogs have got X39, X49 and SP6. And then I will get on with my day, which will be feeding the dogs, getting my smoothie ready, making my hot lemon with apple cider vinegar, sitting at the computer, doing my patients. And when I go to bed at the other end of the day, I will take my patches off and put them on the cistern, ready for the dogs the next day. And I will put on either aloe vera on my third eye, which helps decalcify the pituitary gland, or silent night. And if I've got an aloe vera or a silent night from the previous day, I'll put that on my right temple. So I'm wearing those overnight. And then on my eye mask, so I wear an eye mask again because of optimizing your melatonin level to optimize sleep. On my eye mask, I've got stuck the 3 YH trio patches, which I use for the LifeWave facelift. For me, it's my upper eyelids that I like to sort of encourage up a bit. And so I have Eon at the top, I have carnosine on the left and glutathione on the right. But I don't change that every day. I change that once a week. So overnight I'm like that. And the next night and the next week I'll stick the others on top of the previous ones. There you go. That's my day.
And I see her in action when I wake up and when I go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm usually still dealing with patient emails at midnight.
Sorry, George, I didn't hear what you said.
No, I see Alison in action when I wake up and when I go to sleep and throughout
yes.
the day.
Yes, wow, you're such a contribution to all the groups, Dr. Ali. Thank you. And George, what is your schedule like?
I'm not very organized.
So that means it's pretty random.
Seriously, I'm not very organized, but I respond very quickly. Don't talk to me about Telegram because I'll never go there. I do have a Telegram account. I was cloned 3 times at one point. I personally think it's a sewer. I know some people believe it, but I respond very quickly on WhatsApp. And I support people. I get to events. That's something that I do. LifeWave, I'm not a 6 o'clock in the morning person because I tend to be up late at night. So as I wake up, I'll probably look and see what's going on in the groups, answer questions, answer what's urgent. One thing that LifeWave patches won't change for me is my coffee. I grind my coffee every morning by hand, and I can see how strong I am. So yeah, my coffee is very important. And I travel with my coffee as well. Tanja knows, she's seen me.
I've seen it all.
Yeah.
And I've seen your patch use, and I'm very interested for you to share how you use your patches with everyone.
So I'm using, because I had a really bad cold. I was cold in my body yesterday. So I got 2 glutathione here. And Chris actually told me to do that before, and I forgot. So 2 glutathione here for 24 hours. And every day I wear an X39 behind my neck and X49 below my belly button and an Aeon here. The Aeon here is partly because I had rusty knuckles and so on. Still do just in this bit. But it's also a great talking point because I don't now have to go, you see this thing on my neck, I can go like that.
So what do you have on your hand?
Aeon.
Aeon.
Yeah.
And you also wear the Energizer?
I do. I don't wear Energizer, Energy Enhancer daily. No, I wear it when I'm on long flights, or when I'm going to events. So for example, when I came to London, it was a bit of an intense couple of days. So I wore it the day of the flight, and then I wore the energy enhancer for the 2 days of the event. When you're at an event with 300, 400, 500 people, you're doing a lot of talking. There's a lot of energies with which you're mixing. So you need to, as much energy as you have that you can get, the better, because we're actually putting in a lot of energy into other people in
George,
this group.
Can I ask you, so it was a short period of time for you going from signing up to SPD. It was
14 months.
14 months. Would you say that your daily activities changed as you grew in the ranks of LifeWave?
That's a very good question. I talked nonstop for 14 months. I did calls 4 nights a week, way before This Is It team didn't exist when I started with the LifeWave. I had been used to doing my calls for other things, so I worked on a presentation myself. Then when Chris joined me, we worked on a presentation together. With Chris, I did probably 2, if not 3 calls every week. But then with all my Spanish lot, I did 3, 4 calls a week. Did every single call that anybody said to me, can you get on a call with me? I do that still. But Javi told me something that's very key. He said, you want to get to the position in your business where there are a lot of meetings taking place in your business without you being there, whether they're virtual or presentiales, live. So just now, there was an hour ago, somewhere in my business, there was the 333 team call, but there were 2 separate Spanish team calls going on in different places. So that's when, and it takes a while to do that. And with a lot of people, I got on their early calls with them, and every so often, if I see there's a call, I'll jump on the call with them, and hopefully help them to inspire their people, because again, we have such an incredible opportunity here. It's a mission. It's in my view an obligation, because we live in a world of bad news, of lots of bad news, and here we're bringing good news. And for a lot of people, that's very, very hard to understand. I know it sounds strange. And I've said this before. I'm at a lunch with some. And the man next to me says, I'm very skeptical. And another lady I'm talking to says, I'm very skeptical. And they both came to say goodbye to me. And as they're both together, I say, hey, Mr. Skeptical, meet Mrs. Skeptical. Mrs. Skeptical, meet Mr. Skeptical. So I play with it. I have fun with it. And I'm not going to let, this is really important. Pay attention to your stomach. What do I mean? So there's a lady who she's got a nice vibe, but she's got a bit of an attitude. And I had a conversation with her a year ago. She was in the medical system here as a nurse of some sort. And she came up to me at a lunch the other day and she said, how are you, George? And yeah, great. And you still with those patches? I say, yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful. And I'm getting a stomachache talking to her. And I realized that next time I'm not going to even, when she asked me about the patches, because I suddenly noticed myself, maybe I was feeling defensive or giving a defensive vibe, right? Pay attention to your stomach. She's obviously made her mind up that whatever I'm talking about makes no sense to her. And I will accept that, but I'm not going to enter into the conversation. So pay attention to your stomach. There's a woman who's sitting next to me on a plane. Some of you have heard me say this. And hey, where you? She smiles at me. Oh, hi. Where are you going? And she's, I'm going to Madrid, Barcelona on holiday. Where are you from? San Diego. I say, I'll give you a couple of restaurants in Barcelona, a great spot in Madrid. Um, and we talk a bit more, and I say, so what do you do when you're not going on holiday to Barcelona and Madrid? This is a good question. What do you do when you're not doing? Don't just say, what do you do? What do you do is boring. What do you do when you're not doing? And she tells me that she works with ADHD children. And I say, interesting, maybe I should tell you about what I'm doing. And within 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds, I can see she's laughing at me with her eyes and I'm getting a tummy ache. And I said, I can tell you more if you want. She says, no, I'm good, thanks, and didn't address another word to me. Save my energy. So, yeah, pay attention to your tummy. Don't go forward when you really should retreat. Somebody said, Christelle, what motivated you to speak about LifeWave all the time? Did I have a remarkable change or what drove me? All right, that's a very good question. What drove me? What made me interested? I had 3 businesses before COVID. COVID ate 2 of them. And the last one cost me a year's extra work and 60,000 euros to survive. I was kind of back against the wall. I was looking for something, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So my first reaction to being told about stem cells was, I'm not interested. Stolen fetuses, aborted placentas, other species. And then that person said to me, and the whole thing sounds barbaric, that person said to me, no, this is different. And I'm going to send you a 36-minute video. I'm looking for a book that, and I said, you're crazy. I'm not going to watch a 36-minute video. Please, 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 promise me, promise me. And that is the video I use a lot with people when I have their attention. I say, I'm going to send you the same video that caught my attention. And that was David Schmidt speaking about his technology. And I said to myself, if this is true, it's revolutionary, I'm going to try. I wanted to see, as most people do, see if it worked, did anything for me. Within 3 days, I noticed better energy, better focus, and my coffee grinding, which is 260 turns these days. It was 220 in those days, different cup. I would have to stop every 80 turns. And on the 3rd day, I said to my daughter, wow, I just did all the turns without even noticing it. That was big. Then within about 6 weeks, somebody who I'd speak to a couple of times a week by phone, she said, you're not coughing anymore. I would cough. I would explode into cough 5, 6, 7 times a day. I couldn't be on a call this long without having to disappear for a few minutes. Alison probably remembers that. So though that was my health change, but what I did was, I'm very good at remembering stories. So I remembered the stories. And if you don't have your own story, use somebody else's story until you've got your own stories. And right at the beginning, I said to myself, you know what? I believe the stories people are telling me, but it's going to be much more powerful when I have stories from the people that I've invited or the people they've invited. And that happened very, very quickly. And then I started,
because you have more conviction with the people that you're personally connected with.
Yeah, and that gives you more leverage in your mind. So then very, very quickly I had that. And then when my organization hit 1,000 people, I said something that's kind of non-intuitive. But I thought, I remembered 1,000 people, I can see the money landing in my wallet every week, and I can hear the stories, obviously not from every one of those 1,000 people, but amidst those 1,000 people were incredible stories. And I said to myself, so go make a fortune. The more money you make, the more people you're helping. And that's a really key thing to get into your being, into your heart, into your mind. The more money that LifeWave, well, or say it like this, the money that LifeWave sends us is an expression of our success in helping other people. And it's really important to get that the money that LifeWave sends us is an expression of our success in helping other people. Okay, there's a question here. Do I use Telegram or this is it info? I don't go on Telegram. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't know how many groups in WhatsApp, and I do a lot of talking. So people use it, and I'll give them the link. And I've actually gone into the Telegram testimonies group, and I can't find what I'm looking for, so I don't. That's me. But you know, other people do, and I think it's very valid. And I don't use this as it because it's too confusing for me. But I told you right at the beginning, I'm not very organized. I'm good at talking. Okay, hopefully that's useful.
Yeah. I've got one phrase that I'd just like to share before we tie up, and that is, I came across it on a podcast that I've been listening to, and that's this: true skeptics start with an open mind.
Yeah, and that's true.
So true skeptics start with an open mind. So all those skeptics who say, "Oh, I don't believe in this," just tell them, just remind them that if you're a scientist, if you're a skeptic, if you're a true skeptic, you start with an open mind, not a closed one.
That's very valuable. Thank you.
So I've got to respond to this. Somebody called Josune and Luke, who says, according to David Schmidt, the CEO founder, one of his pieces of advice is, if you wish to be successful, first start by praying for guidance, choosing a path which allows for service to others. I haven't heard any of you mentioning the divine power coming from God as being the revealer of this product of LifeWave to David Schmidt, which we should all take to heart. That feels like criticism. And I also, with respect, I give respect to David, and I give respect to everybody for their personal beliefs. Now, I'm very clear when I talk about LifeWave that David is very clear that this was a download from God. However, when I'm on a public call, this is not a subject which I go to, because we come from different tribes and people have different beliefs. And this is, as I say, delicate to speak about in public. I hope you understand.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, George. Well, Dr. Ali, is there anything you'd like to share in closing, or are you complete?
I think I just wanted to make sure I had a chance to say that phrase from the Telepathy Tapes podcast, which is about neurodiverse non-speaking children who are telepathically communicating with each other. So the creator of the podcast says to people, it's all very well being skeptical, but a true skeptic has an open mind, and true scientists aren't the ones who are not prepared to listen, to find out, to inquire.
That's very helpful. Thank you for that. And George, anything in closing?
Just do it. Like Nike says, do it every day. If the patches work for you, and if LifeWave works for you, share it with everybody. That's what I say. Wonderful. Some will, some won't. So what? Next, develop a strong posture. And really, that's it.
Well, I thank you very, very much for this evening. And George, I really look forward to having another conversation with some more connections of ours, and to bring as much information forward as we can. So